What's up, everybody? Well, I got another Asus G15 Advantage gameplay video for you guys today. And today, we're gonna do Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice on ultra-wide. So, as you can see, we've got our laptop just chilling on top of our desktop there. So we still gotta do ultra-wide, 4K, and then we gotta do our desktop. So let's not waste any more time and get in and look at some settings.
Well, now we're gonna do some ultra-wide. But first, let's look through the settings here real quick. We're gonna start on low, just like we did for the rest. And just work our way up. And alright, look at that, already at the bottom. So let's go get into the game. Well, let's start off our gameplay here on low, on ultra-wide. So we'll just keep doing the same kind of walking down the beach we've been doing. And I'm only doing that so I don't accidentally get to someplace where I can't give you guys decent FPS. So many times I've been stuck in a cave or in a basement of a building, like in, God, what was that game I played? Not Ghost Recon. Watch Dogs Legion, that's what it was. I started off in the very beginning, and I was just like in the tunnels the whole time, getting like hundreds of FPS. And everyone's like, what the hell? And then I realized why they said what the hell. Once I got out into the open world, like where it's like GTA, holy shit, the FPS tanked. So I had to redo that whole video. So I don't want that to happen again. Now, of course, there could be spots that are like way more graphically intensive than this in this game, and this might not even be the worst of it, but if I played through the entire game, then I wouldn't have time to do other games. So that's why I don't do that. I wished I had the time to do that, but I just don't. So I should just tell people that right off the rip, because somebody had a problem with a Steam Deck game I did where I only played the first like 15 minutes, and then later on in the game I guess it gets way harder to run. So they made a good point, but still. Now on to medium. So of course we have to scroll through these guys. And we'll do ray tracing and FSR at the very end, along with my settings that I would run if I were going to do this resolution. So now, let's get into the game. Here we go, medium gameplay now on ultra-wide. Now, even while recording, it looks like we're still way over 60 so far. But once we get up to very high, that's probably where we're going to start dropping under 60. But hey, maybe it'll surprise me. The game doesn't really even look that bad on medium, to be honest with you. So nice to be able to clear my throat just by turning around, and it doesn't get picked up that much. Versus just wearing my little microphone I'm just picking up right now, but you can't see it. That would just go to my headset. It's a great microphone, don't get me wrong, but it's not like you can easily detach it. I could always mute it, but sometimes you don't think to do that when you just really want to clear your throat, or sneeze, or cough, or something. I just ate a bunch of pizza, so I got a bunch of phlegm in my throat, and it sucks. And also took a hit, too, which also does it, so it's like double phlegm. Double phlegm action. That's crazy, you can even hear the little beads in her hair wrapping around. Now, we're already to high, look at that. But honestly, what takes longer than that is the FSR and the ray tracing, since ray tracing has various levels. So, still, let's go now and see how high does. Can we stay above 60? This is now high. Graphics settings. And so far, so good. Besides when we first originally started the game and started the recording, just like with DLSS, sometimes it's really stuttery right at the beginning. And takes the, what do you call it? FPS takes a huge tank, lower than it even usually is. So look at that. We're getting around 70. We're only 10 FPS above 60 at this point, but hey, it can still do it. And this is ultra wide. That's pretty impressive. So that means, judging by what I see here, very high will probably just dance around 60 while we're recording, and it'd probably be 65 to 68 if we weren't. Just like now, we would be in the high 70s if we weren't recording, I would just reckon. Because I always see the FPS like for a split second or two before I start recording when I jump on into the game. Hell, some of that stutter we see at the beginning might just be the game finishing loading, too. Who knows? I literally have been just jumping right in and hitting record. Because I want to get all these footages done so I can get the voiceover I thought at the time. And that's why I also limit it to like a minute or so. since I'm just walking around on a beach anyway. The camera gameplay is like 5 minutes of me walking around on a beach, so I didn't want there to be like 2 minutes and change each and every setting. I figured that would make the A, too long, and B, even more boring than it already is. Here we go. Very high now. And then after this, we can get some ray tracing in, which is where it's going to fall flat on its face. But still, let's see how very high does. Maybe it'll stay above 60. I'm hoping. Well, alright now. Let's get some very high little gameplay in here, and it seems like we're sitting right at 60, dropping down to 59. So it looks like we can't quite stay at 60 while we record anyway, but so far it's looking like it would be hovering right at 60. A little over, probably 65 if we weren't recording, maybe 66 at times. So that's pretty impressive. But once we get to ray tracing, it's going to be all like, nope. Yep, it just loaded in the fucking fog, so it just tanked the FPS for a quick second there. And alright, time to move on. There we go with the ray tracing. So we're going to start with low, which is probably going to be in the low 40s while we're recording, just a guess. But hey, instead of guessing, why don't we go hop in the game and find out? Well, here we go with some ray tracing. And now we're even under 40 here, so I was wrong. I thought we were going to be like 44, 45, something like that to start with, but nope. Under 40 to start with, right off the bat, huh? Well, ray tracing ain't easy on this thing. Well, we got to 40 once we got over here for a little bit. But then we tanked back down. Well, tanked. We just went back down to 38. Alright, though. Why don't we move on? Now, let's bump up FSR to medium. Or not FSR, ray tracing to medium. We haven't got to FSR yet. We're getting ahead of ourselves there. So ray tracing is on medium, as you can see right there. And everything else precisely the same. So let's go see what that does to the FPS. Well, ray tracing on medium now. Wow, dropped all the way down in the low 20s there for a second. Other than that, we're still dropping under 20. So yeah, like I thought, ray tracing not working so hot once we got to the high res. But that's kind of what I was expecting, so I'm not sitting here going, oh man, I just can't believe it. I kind of figured it. Man, whoever did the sound for this game really hit it out of the park. Like, you can hear everything. You can hear her, like, feet splashing in the freaking watery sand. You can hear her beads on her hair. You can hear all the rest of her stuff banging around on her body as she walks around. Pretty damn nice. Not to mention all the weird, creepy voices they try to, like, throw at you. Alright though, moving on. Well, here we go with the highest ray tracing setting there is, which is high. We're leaving everything else just the way it was, because it's only fair. And we'll do FSR after this. So now, to the game. Well, here we go with ray tracing high. And yeah, this is not going too good now. We're in the low 20s. Not playable for me at all, whatsoever. I can somewhat slightly put up with 30 as long as it's like on the Steam Deck and I can kind of forgive it. Or if I was like on a trip with the laptop and I just wanted to play a game, but all it could do was 30 FPS or 40 FPS, I wouldn't mind locking it to that FPS. But most of the time, since I'm at home, I got my 2 desktops, so if I want to play a super crazy high resolution game at high res, I can. It's all nice by having choice. And it's also nice to have the Steam Deck to just kind of chill out in my bed before I go to bed every night, playing Persona or Ni no Kuni or something like that. And hell, before that, I even play a little Spider-Man. Probably beat about maybe 15-20% of Spider-Man on the Steam Deck, both of them. Plus my remastered and Miles Morales. So it's a pretty fun little deck. Had to limit all those games, well, most of those games to 30 FPS, but still. Alright, moving on. Well, now it's FSR time, so we're going to start off with Ultra Quality, which leads me to believe anyway that this is 1.0. I don't believe the 2.0 Plus has Ultra Quality. It starts just on Quality. But anyway, let's go hop into the game, see what kind of our FPS we'll get now. Well, let's do FSR Ultra Quality here. And we're definitely getting some better FPS. This thing was in, I believe, the 50s while we were recording before, on just very high with no ray tracing. So all the way up into the 80s, that's definitely nice. It doesn't look that bad. You can usually get away with FSR 1.1 on quality or ultra quality or quality, but anything other than that just looks too crappy. I mean, you can still actually notice shit a lot easier, like if you look for it. But the cool thing about FSR is, it works on everything. It doesn't matter what the hell GPU you have. If you've got a GPU, I'm pretty sure FSR can use it. Or the GPU can use FSR, I think that makes more sense that way. Haha! Well, alright. Why don't we move on? Well, now we just got some quality FSR, so let's cruise through these settings real quick before we get back to the game. There you go, you can see quality mode. And alright, let's go see how it looks and how it plays. Well, now let's get ourselves a little FSR just quality now. Now we went up from the 80s to the 90s, so it's definitely helping. Got a bunch of thunder. Alright though, we're getting pretty damn close to our little stopping turnaround point now. So why don't we just call it here and move on to the next FSR setting? Well, FSR Balanced now. And there we go. You can see right there, we are indeed unbalanced FSR. So now, as you can see, we're at the bottom and everything's the same. So time to get back to the game. FSR Balanced gameplay now. We're up over 100 now. Well over 100. At least a lot of places. So let's just get ourselves a little balanced gameplay in here for FSR, and then we've only got one more to do after this before we get into my gameplay. Let's see. Yeah, definitely getting quite a bit more FPS, so it appears FSR is doing its job on these higher resolutions. It'll probably be very helpful in 4K. I probably won't be able to do any 4K settings at 60. Even low will probably drop. We'll see though. Maybe it'll be a pleasant surprise. But anyway, now why don't we go ahead and move on to the last FSR setting. Well, here we go with FSR Performance now. But before we get into the game, of course, we gotta look at all these settings. So there you go, right there, FSR Performance. And now, we're at the bottom, so why don't we go get into the game and see how FSR Performance is gonna treat us. FSR Performance now, so let's see what we get for FPS. And wow, yeah, we definitely shot up. Game may not look good at all really anymore, but hey, if you want lots of FPS, I guess FSR Performance definitely is your way to go. Turn everything else on low and just turn that on and bam, you're probably sitting at like 160 to 180 FPS would be my guess. Fuck it, let's take a hit of some of those platinum cookies too. Oh yes. That is some platinum-esque cookies. Moving on. Now let's have a look at my settings I would go with for this particular resolution. No ray tracing or FSR required here. And there we go, at the bottom. So now, let's go see how my settings work in the game itself. Now we're gonna do some of my gameplay here with my settings. And so far so good, at least while we're recording, we're staying above 60 at this pretty high resolution, so that's pretty good. But alrighty, Now, let's go move on to some camera now.
Well, alright guys, let's get ourselves a little camera gameplay in here. And as you can see, now that we're not recording, frame times are freaking real smooth. We went from like 75 up into the 80s. Well, it seems like we get a little more stuttier once we get on the beach though. At least in places. But it's not like those frame times are bad or anything, it just looks a little bit more chaotic than it is like right now, you know? No, this game's graphics are pretty damn good, and I'm definitely excited to actually play the game. I know me just walking around this beach is probably boring as all fuck, but at least it shows you guys how the game runs in this area. Obviously, like I've said a bunch of times now, later on in the game there could be a way more demanding part than this, but I don't think it's so demanding it's going to go from the 80s under 60. I just don't see that happening. So, I'm willing to still call this completely playable, at least with my settings. When it's loading stuff like the fog back there, it still has big stutters. But a lot of games have that issue, where you get to a certain point and it just stutters as it loads in more stuff. I can't even hate on that bad, because a lot of games do it. And they did a really good job on the audio in this game. Oh, see, now we walked into the same spot going this way, and it had to reload shit probably over in this area now, so we got another big old stutter that was just like the one when we were facing this way going towards the forest. But yeah, main reason I haven't moved on, I've probably said this in every freaking one of these videos so far, is I'm worried it's going to turn into like the Tomb Raider, where if I walk up in there like and climb up into the mountain, it's going to put me in a cave for like 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes. And that's going to be taking up time that I could be recording, but I wouldn't, because I know you guys don't like when I try to do video recording and show off the laptop in caves, buildings, and whatnot. I get it, that doesn't make good sense. The hardest places usually to run are outside in the open world like this. Not in a cave. Sometimes forests, though. That's why I got a little footage in the first couple bits coming through the woods back there. But I still think this was a little harder to run than the woods, so that's why I didn't keep going through there. Still, though, I wonder who put all these people on the pikes. There's like hundreds of dead people just on pikes constantly all over the place. It's like, what is the deal? Probably an invisible wall right here, but... Oh. Wow, you can go farther into the water than I thought. That's crazy. I figured there'd be invisible walls galore and whatnot, so I guess this game doesn't really prevent you from going too many places, but you can't, like, climb and crawl like an Assassin's Creed, so you're still somewhat limited in where you can go. But I figured, yeah, right about here, there'd just be an invisible wall, and I would start walking into the shit and not be able to move. But it seems like that is not the case at all. Alright, let's just do one more walk across the beach, and then I think it'll be time to wrap this video on up. Very excited to get up in there. I'm almost positive that's where we're going to end up going. There's like a little like staircase over there, and it looks like I can climb up there, and then it's probably going to have me like go up the mountain, go up that shit, and then across the bridge, and then into the weird horse dragon looking thing up in the sky there. At least that's just what I think's going to happen. I could be entirely wrong, as I've never played this game past this point. Anytime I've done any testing, I've always just kind of came here, seen how wonderful this was for testing, because it's got lots of sun and all that for the ray tracing part and whatnot. Seems like a great spot to do testing, you know? And it's easy to repeat the same walk over and over again. instead of just playing through the game being like, oh, well, could be different FPS at any old part, who knows. But I still generally like playing through the game and just like through the start and get a little bit into it. That way I don't go too far though, because I don't want to ruin games for people that actually want to sit there and enjoy it. That's why I never get too far into games, if anybody was wondering. Heck, I don't even play them while I'm making the video for them. Like if I was making these videos right now, I wouldn't be playing this game, and I haven't. Because I wouldn't want to get too far and get out of this area, you know? But anyway, I think that's plenty of footage, so now why don't we go wrap this video up? Well, alright guys, that is a wrap for Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice at ultra wide, and it did very well. Now once we got up to very high, while we were recording anyway, it was dropping under 60, but if we weren't recording, it would probably hang right out around 60, 62. But there could be way harder parts to run than this, or the part that I ran around in, so just keep that in mind. But my settings, oh wow, we got a lot. I don't see it going from 85, 80, 85, all the way down under 60 at any point in the game. At least on ultra wide so far. Now 4K might kick me in the ass. I might actually have to use FSR in that one, but maybe not, we'll see. But that is more of the use for FSR. Even if it is 1.0 when you're on 4K and you can't quite do it. But anyway, that's about all I got for you guys for this particular video. Now I hope you enjoyed it, because I sure enjoyed making it. And until the next video, peace out, guys.